Last night, the president held an LGBT pride event at the White House, but this gathering wasn't all happy. A heckler was in the crowd, and this wasn't some Tea Partier with a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. It was an LGBT activist who is not happy with the president. Here to discuss is columnist and political guru Jonathan Harris. I'm so happy to have you on the show. This is the first time I've had you on the show.
Yes, nice
I just want to know your first interpretation of what exactly this heckler's issue was with the president.
It was really interesting because actually, I guess they were transgender. I'm even as a liberal, I'm still trying to figure out what that means, how I address them. I think they're addressed as a she, so
I'm just so glad that you're making the same mistake, because if a conservative does it, we get screamed at and called a racist, or I don't know what.
I think I don't even know if that would be a homophobe. I'm not sure either. I don't know if that would be a homophobe or I'm not sure.
Sexist?
Yeah.
Misogynist?
Maybe it's like a hybrid of the two. I'm not exactly sure which one it would be. I guess I would refer to them as a she, was upset with some of the ways that the LGBTQ, I think there's Q in the end, community has been treated in terms of deportations. And so there was a little bit of, she was upset about that.
Hang on one second. Let's go ahead and show this video, because I kind of forgot that part. Host messed up. Okay, go ahead and show that video, please.
And I've told you that I'm so hopeful about what we can accomplish. I've told you that the civil rights of LGBT Americans is... Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, you know what? No. Hey. Yeah, listen. You're in my house. Come on. It's not, you know what? It's not respectful when you get invited to somebody. You're not gonna get a good response from me by interrupting me like this. I'm sorry. No, shame on you. You shouldn't be doing this.
All right, so Jonathan, your thoughts on exactly, I mean, should the woman have heckled the president?
No, of course not. That's completely inappropriate. I think there's better ways, definitely, to make your point. The point that she or he, I don't know, was trying to make was something that actually lawmakers have been taking issue with, which is the way that some of the LGBT community have been treated in terms of deportations. And she was also...
they're being deported first, or I read the articles about this, and I still don't understand their beef.
Right, and I was a little bit confused myself, but basically what I took away from it was not just so much that they're being deported, that is an element of it too, but also that the treatment that they're receiving while they're sort of waiting to be deported. It's just so weird to me because from the left, he's getting often, you're deporting too many, as one of the highest, if not the highest, deportation rates of any president. But then from the right, it's like, oh, you want amnesty for everyone. So it's like, I don't know, I guess he can't win with either crowd.
So how did you feel then about the fact that he said, you're in my house? Do you think of the White House as Obama's house?
Well, I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine who's actually a conservative radio host. And he was saying, oh, he's like, that's the people's house. And it's like, obviously it's the people's house, but we put him in there. We gave him that house for now. And so it's almost like when you're renting a house from someone, it still belongs to them, but it's your house. And I got a kick out of the fact that he just doesn't care anymore. I don't think he cares about trying to pretend that he, like trying to be diplomatic anymore. I don't know if you remember that moment from the State of the Union address where, he was saying, oh, I have no more campaigns to run. And then the Republicans started heckling him. He's like, because I won them both. Like, he just doesn't care anymore. And I think that's hilarious.
I remember the hot mic moment where he told the Russians that he'd talk to them after the election. So maybe you're right that he doesn't particularly care anymore. What do you make
in terms of like forced diplomacy? I mean, like kind of fake.
Right. No, and I understand that. And a little less politics would be nice. I don't care which part. I think that's what I enjoy about Donald Trump. Frankly, is he's just like, he's not lying.
Right.
He's standing there.
But, yeah,
well, we can disagree.
You don't think he's crazy?
I think Obama's crazy.
Really?
We can talk about that all day long. I think he's a narcissist.
You think he's crazier than? Well, I think everybody that runs for president's a bit of a narcissist.
That may be true.
I think you have to be to some extent.
You might have got me there, Jonathan. I can't deny. Do you think that overall that the president feels like his legacy is secure at this point?
I think so. I think at the end of the day, when you look back, you know, we've got 2 wars ended, we've got Osama bin Laden dead, 10 million jobs added to the economy. The Affordable Care Law, as you were talking about earlier, has now been solidified. It's secure, and that's expanded healthcare to over 10 million people. Costs rising at their lowest rate in 5 decades. I think
well, this is so interesting to talk to you because I was just speaking with someone else about this today. In fact, it's Neil Cavuto who knows this stuff pretty well,
right.
And he was saying that healthcare costs have increased about 80%. So
it's all about the way you look at it.
How
right.
the different perspectives, I guess,
right. The
from the
healthcare
left
costs
and the right.
do go up. The healthcare costs have gone up consistently. It's that because of the Affordable Care Act, instead of them spiking as they were, they're now growing at a very slow rate compared to what they were doing prior to the Affordable Care Act.
But young people like yourself, and I don't know if you're single or not, it doesn't really matter, but young single people can't...
I try very hard to give you that one.
Young people like yourself who are single, you don't need to be paying for my mammograms or my pregnancy, you know, if I might get pregnant. And you used to have access to things like medical savings accounts, and now you don't because Obamacare has made those illegal. So really, you're okay with paying more for my choices?
Right, because as a liberal, I do believe in shared responsibility. I do believe that socially...
So could we do that through charity? Like, couldn't you just donate that money to charity?
But we didn't.
But we do all the time. I mean, we're the most charitable nation in the whole world by far. Like 10 times as much as the whole world combined we give to charity.
Well,
so when you consider those numbers,
but charity starts at home, and I think we had a considerable amount of people who were having a terrible experience with our healthcare system. People were going into debt, losing their homes because they couldn't pay medical bills. So I think we had an opportunity to handle it through, I mean, I guess you're kind of alluding to the private sector or something along those lines, and we never did. And so we still left it in the hands of the private sector, but we just heavily regulated it.
I talked to someone today who was helping me with makeup earlier today, and she's a young person, a brand new, thank you. She's a young person, brand new baby on the way, not married not so long ago. And she was just practically in tears telling me how hard it is with both her husband and her working more than one job. She can't make ends meet, and that's Obamacare.
I don't blame Obamacare for that, because I think what happens is you have, almost like with anything, I guess, you have 2 different sides of a story. Like with the numbers, there are people who were, like I said, losing their homes and things like that because of the Affordable Care Act, before the Affordable Care Act, I'm sorry, and now because of that, they can afford health care for the first time in their lives.
Jonathan, does it bother you at all what happened today with the Supreme Court changing from the actual wording mandate that has always stood in the Supreme Court and instead saying they're going to consider what they thought the legislature was thinking when they wrote the law?
No, because I don't know that that's unprecedented. I know that there have been rulings, I'm not completely sure about the Supreme Court, but there have been rulings that were intended to say what the spirit of the law was.
Not in the Supreme Court,
Not in the Supreme Court, perhaps, but I'm saying in rulings before, and that could have cost 6 to 8 million people their health insurance. So, no, I'm glad. I think they made the right choice.
Wow, we have to have you back. I have a lot to talk to you about. Thank you so much for being with us, John.